There are songs that were out that were very popular, sold many records, played often by DJs and on jukeboxes, and maybe you even had the 45 or the album. A few songs were good enough or maybe just lucky enough to make it to the number one spot, while so many others were not. And it's those others I'll be talking about today. Hi, I'm Mr. Mike. That's what the kids at church call me. And I was born in 1953, and I love the old music. And welcome to this episode of Good, but Not Quite Number One, the series where I cover the top 10 songs from a year in rock and roll history that never made it to the number one spot on the Billboard Pop Charts. They were good, but not quite good enough to be a number one song. In this episode, I'll be giving you the top 10 songs from 1963 that never made it to the number one position. And I get all my information for the ranking of these songs from the Billboard Year-End Hot 100 Singles listing as found on Wikipedia. So what I say in this video is not my opinion of how I would rank them, but how they are ranked by Billboard. And I always throw in a few interesting bits of musical trivia for each song, compliments of Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia. Well, before we get into today's video, I hope you will give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and new subscribers to this channel are always welcome. And I thank you so much for watching this video. So, what were the top charting songs of 1963 that were good, but not quite number one? Well, we'll find out here in a minute. But first, let's go through the 21 songs from 1963 that didn't make it to the number one spot, that kept the other songs out. And I also made a video of all these number one songs from 1963. The link is in the description below. Well, to start the year 1963, we have Telstar by the Tornadoes, Go Away Little Girl by Steve Lawrence, Walk Right In by the Rooftop Singers, Hey Paula by Paul and Paula, Walk Like a Man by the Four Seasons, Our Day Will Come by Ruby and the Romantics, He's So Fine by the Chiffons, I Will Follow Him by Little Peggy March, If You Want to Be Happy by Jimmy Soul, It's My Party by Leslie Gore, Sukiyaki by Q Sakamoto, Easier Said Than Done by the Essex, Surf City by Jan and Dean, So Much in Love by the Times, Fingertips Part 2 by Little Stevie Wonder, My Boyfriend's Back by the Angels, Blue Velvet by Bobby Vinton, Sugar Shack by Jerry Gilmer and the Fireballs, Deep Purple by Nino Temple and April Stevens, I'm Leaving It Up to You by Dale and Grace. And our last number one hit song for 1963 is Dominique by the Singing Nun. These were the 21 songs from 1963 that hit the number one spot that kept other good songs from becoming a number one. So what were the top charting songs of 1963 that were good, but not quite number one? Are you ready? Let's get started. Our first top song in 1963 to never hit number one on the charts is Surfin' USA by the Beach Boys. This song is credited to Chuck Berry and Brian Wilson. It is a rewritten version of Chuck Berry's Sweet Little 16 set to new lyrics written by Wilson and an uncredited Mike Love. Al Jardine is not the rhythm guitar player on this song. It is David Marks, who later left the band in late 1963 over disagreements with Murray Wilson, the band's manager and father of the Wilson brothers. Marx continued to sing and play rhythm guitar with the Beach Boys on their first 4 albums, including the early hit singles Surfin' Safari, 409, Surfin' USA, Shut Down, Surfer Girl, In My Room, and Be True to Your School. Marx also played over 100 concerts with the Beach Boys. The song was the overall #1 song for 1963 and made it to #3 in May of that year. Our second top song in '63 to never hit #1 on the charts is The End of the World by Skeeter Davis. The song was written by Arthur Kent with lyrics by Sylvia D. The End of the World is a sad song about the aftermath of a romantic breakup. Sylvia D., the lyricist, said she drew on her sorrow from her father's death to set the mood for the song. The song was played at Skeeter Davis's own funeral at the Ryman Auditorium in 2004. The End of the World was the overall #2 song for '63 and made it to #2 in March of that year, only to be topped by Our Day Will Come by Ruby and the Romantics.
Don't they know it's the end of the world? It ended when I lost your love.
Our third top song in '63 to never hit #1 on the charts is Rhythm of the Rain by The Cascades. It was written by Cascades band member John Claude Gumeau. The lyrics are sung by a man whose lover has left him. The rain falling reminds him what a fool he has been. He asks the rain for answers, but ultimately he wishes it would go away and let him cry alone. That bell sound that you hear is played on an instrument called a celesta. It's like a piano, but instead of the hammer striking a string, the hammer strikes a metal plate. Musicians on this record include Wrecking Crew members Hal Blaine on drums, Carol Kay on the bass, and Glenn Campbell on guitar. This song was the overall #3 song for '63 and made it to #3 in March of that year. Our fourth top song in '63 to never hit #1 on the charts is Can't Get Used to Losing You by Andy Williams. Williams recorded 43 albums in his career, of which 15 have been gold certified and 3 platinum certified. He sold more than 45 million records worldwide. He hosted The Andy Williams Show, a television variety show, from '62 through '71. Williams' vocals on the song's verses were double-tracked in unison and overdubbed on the choruses, so the listener hears Williams singing harmony with himself. And that wasn't easy to do back in the early '60s. The song was the overall #8 song for '63 and made it to #2 in April, only to be topped by He's So Fine by the Chiffons.
Though it will be empty without you, can't get used to losing you no matter what I try to do.
Our fifth top song in '63 to never hit #1 on the charts is Puff the Magic Dragon by Peter, Paul, and Mary. The lyrics for the song are based on a 1959 poem by Leonard Lipton, then a 19-year-old Cornell University student. The song tells the story of an immortal dragon named Puff and his playmate, Jackie Paper, as they embark on adventures in the fictional county of Honolulu. As time passes, Jackie matures and abandons his childhood games, leaving Puff sad and alone. Lipton wrote the poem, and when Yarrow found it, he wrote the lyrics to Puff based on the poem. After the song was released, Yarrow searched for Lipton to give him credit for the song. which he did. This song was the overall number 12 song for 63 and made it to number 2 in May of that year, only to be topped by I Will Follow Him by Little Peggy March.
In the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu, Puff the magic dragon lived by.
Our sixth top song in 1963 to never hit number 1 on the charts is, let's stick with Peter, Paul and Mary. It's Blowin' in the Wind by Peter, Paul and Mary. This song was written by Bob Dylan, but the most successful version of this song was by the trio of Peter, Paul, and Mary, who recorded the song in just one take. In 1963, Peter, Paul, and Mary appeared as the mystery guest on the CBS TV game show What's My Line, in which Dorothy Kilgallen correctly guessed their identity. In 64, at the 6th Annual Grammy Awards, Peter, Paul, and Mary won 2 Grammys for Blown in the Wind, Best Folk Recording, and Best Performance by a Vocal Group. This song was the overall number 13 song for 63 and made it to number 2 in August, only to be topped by Fingertips, Part 2 by Little Stevie Wonder.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Our seventh top song in 1963 to never hit number 1 on the charts is the instrumental Wipeout by the Safaris. Wipeout, like many other hit songs, was the B-side to this record, with the A-side being a song titled Surfer Joe. Bob Berryhill, Pat Connolly, Jim Fuller, and Ron Wilson of the Safaris wrote Wipeout almost on the spot while at PAL Recording Studios in Cucamonga, California in late 62, when they realized they needed a suitable B-side for the intended Surfer Joe single A-side. One of the band members suggested introducing the song with a crackling sound, imitating a breaking surfboard, followed by a manic voice babbling, ha 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 ha, Wipeout. It worked. Wipeout was featured in over 20 TV series and movies, including Dirty Dancing in 1987. This song was the overall number 14 song for 63 and made it to number 2 in August, only to be topped by Fingertips, Part 2 by Little Stevie Wonder. Our eighth top song in 63 to never hit number 1 on the charts is I Love You Because by Al Martino. The song was written and recorded by country music singer-songwriter Leon Payne in 1949. It has been covered by several artists throughout the years, including Elvis Presley in 1954, Johnny Cash in 1959, Jim Reeves in 1963, and Al Martino in 1963. It was Martino's version that had the most success on Billboard's Hot 100 chart. This song was the overall number 15 song for 63 and made it to number 3 in June of that year.
But most of all, I love you 'cause you're you.
Our ninth top song in 1963 to never hit number 1 on the charts is the instrumental Wild Weekend by the Rebels, who are also known as the Rockin' Rebels, to avoid confusion with Dwayne Eddy and the Rebels. This band from Buffalo, New York, released Wild Weekend on the Marley label in 1960 without national chart success. So in November of 62, the single was re-released on the Swan label, and that's when the song charted. The song was the overall number 16 song for 63 and made it to number 8 in March of that year. Our 10th top song in 1963 to never hit number one on the charts is You're the Reason I'm Living by Bobby Darin. Darin's real name is Walden Robert Casado. He was present at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles at the time of Robert Kennedy's assassination in June of 1968. That same year, Darin discovered the woman who had raised him was his grandmother, not his mother as he thought. And he also learned that the woman he thought was his sister was actually his mother. Those events deeply affected Darin and sent him into a long period of seclusion. This song, written by Darin, was the overall number 17 song for 63 and made it to number 3 in March of that year.
You're the reason I'm living. I'd be lost without you.
There they are, the top 10 hit songs from the US Billboard Pop Charts from the year 1963 to never make it to the number one spot. So which one, in my musical opinion, is my top song from the 10 songs that were good but not quite number one? Well, this was a tough decision because I liked a lot of these 10 songs, but I would have to choose Surfin' USA by the Beach Boys. Growing up in the 60s, I just loved that beach surf sound, the falsetto voices, and songs about cars and girls. And it's in my iTunes playlist, and it should be in your iTunes playlist too. Oh, what about you? You're at a diner with a dime. Which almost number one song would you play? Leave your favorite song in the comments below. Well, I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, revisiting hit songs from 1963. And come back again when I take us through another year in rock and roll history and look at the top 10 hit songs from that year that never made it to the number one spot. Well, this is Mr. Mike, and I'll see you next time in our next exciting episode of Good, but Not Quite Number One. And remember, play your music loud.